Hey, babe, and thank you so much for doing the show with me. I super appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. So, I just want to tell everybody how we met. Kevin and I met back in 2007 when we were selling the yellow pages together. And so we were great friends in 2007 and later became lovers. And then we got married in 2014 and we've been married ever since. We are, you know, going through some different changes in our relationship right now. And we are about to be divorced next week potentially, but we're still roommates and we're still best friends. And so I feel so honored to have Kevin here because he's seen close up what it's like to live with somebody with so much pain and trauma, and then experience somebody who's going through a spiritual awakening that we didn't even know was going to happen. So I'm just super
Hmm.
excited you're here, Kevin, and I love you. And thank you so much for being by my side this whole time.
No worries. Glad to be here.
Well, let's start talking. I was thinking about you and I went back to get, or we went to get tattoos, January 2025. And
Hmm.
so that is when I got the tattoo of the 1111 because
Hmm.
it was so symbolic at that time because I was seeing those numbers everywhere. I'd started doing some research about it. It seemed like it was a spiritual thing where, I was like spiritual awakening, not sure what's happening, but I was obsessed with the number. So I got that tattoo. You got tattoo of your kids. And so that's kind of how it. Oh, can't really see. There you are. Yes. Yes. So that's kind of how my spiritual awakening started slowly was with the numbers. And then I remember when I met with Max in May, I just came home and I was like mind blown. And I told you that Max said I was psychic and he saw all these crazy, amazing things happening in the future. So that's kind of how it started on my end. But I'm interested to know from your point of view, when did you start seeing like some different changes where you were like, something's going on with her?
Well, I've known you quite a long time now. Almost like you say, 20 years. And I would have to say, probably within the last 5 years, I've
Mhm.
really started knowing more of an awakening, if you will, in terms of what you were hearing. Certain episodes, especially with Jennie. I mean,
Yeah.
what a lot of people don't realize is that we trauma bonded really
Yeah,
together,
we did.
based on you know my background and situation and having to deal with my daughter and you having to deal with Jennie. So
We
I
lost
think
the
that's
same
where
year.
we began becoming kindred spirits, if you will.
Yes.
But I've
Yes.
been noticing it steadily. I would probably say, especially since we moved out to Colorado.
Okay. So you think it's been going on for quite some time?
Oh, absolutely,
I just
absolutely.
wasn't fully aware of it. I was just always I've just always tried to better myself and heal myself more and more. And so, the 25th anniversary came around. I remember I was like crying, like
Hmm.
hyperventilating still. And I was like,
Yeah.
how am I still this upset 25 years later? And so that's when I started doing somatics and met with Max was that May. And so
Hmm.
that's when I feel like things really started to shift and change and open up. Um, what did you notice most specifically about that time?
Well, I noticed that you were starting to express more of it. It used to be something that we would just talk about kind of in passing, or it wasn't anything that was really top of mind. So I just thought, like a lot of people in these situations, they think about things. They may have a connection or may feel something with somebody, but are we really bringing it to the surface?
Right.
So I think it was, from my end, it was just something that I noticed more gradually over time. But I would have to say you really started to get more, involved from the spiritual side of it. And, even when you're talking about the I'm going to butcher that word,
So bad.
somatic processing,
Yes.
well, only within the last couple of years. So, um, you
So
know, and when
somatics,
you bring it up more,
hold
what's
on. I
that?
just I just started somatics in May, last May.
Okay.
But not even 2 years. It's not even been a year.
Well, I would have to say the last year has been really
Right.
transformative.
Right.
Transformative. Yeah.
Okay. So like if I were to have asked you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if this was going to happen to me, or if you saw yourself supporting me if it did happen, would you believe that? I mean, is this something that you believed in? Do you believe in mediums? Do you believe that people can feel others that have passed? Is that something you've ever believed in?
Well, as far as my daughter goes, I've always kind of felt that presence, not in a way that you do, with mine, of course, visiting her and just kind of having like these chills and, things that are, coming over me. Unfortunately, she was only, with us for 11 days. So as far as like really communicating, but as far as like spiritually and how I feel, that's been going on, for, well, yeah, over 25 years. Um,
So you've believed in
so
mediums. You believe in mediums,
to be in all honesty, I remember when we went and saw Teresa Caputo.
right?
Um, you know, like anyone else, you're going to have skepticism with it. You wouldn't be normal if you didn't. Um, so it gradually, I've started to embrace. I
Right.
started to embrace and started kind of looking at it from a different lens. There are some things that I'm still, kind of working on with it, but I
Okay.
will say that the last year, especially, well, the last 6 months, has definitely opened up my eyes. Um,
I mean, you could see firsthand the number of feathers that I come home with,
I've had all kinds of, yeah.
right?
Um,
And then when I come home, I'm like, oh my god, an owl literally flew in front of me, had to hit my shirt. Like, I mean, like those things. I come home, I'm not making that stuff up. That stuff is like real. So you've seen it firsthand, and you even had something
Oh,
happen.
I had my own episodes over the last, few months. With birds and snakes and hoot owls. So the timing with this, you know, I and I have to be honest. I look at that as being weird. Like, one day a bird is flying around me, and then the next day the bird uh, hits me and then winds up dying. And then seeing a snake freaking me out. And then the next day seeing that snake dead, on the sidewalk. And, it just, as you were explaining it to me, I would have looked at it and went, huh, well, that's just coincidental. Or, hmm. Then I
But we
start
looked
looking
it
and
up.
what you were trying to explain how this represents something.
It represented
Um,
us because it said
and another
change.
chapter of my life,
Yeah.
a chapter, in our lives, but particularly my life in this instance. And yeah, I have to admit, I had to really start, you know, processing it and resonating. And I have to say, it is very coincidental. I've always believed in, things like divine intervention and things happening for a reason. Um, so when I was telling you about that and you were gone, you were, I think, down in Florida. Um, I really, had to start pondering that and thinking, the bird and the snake. And then of course the owls, with these two giant hoot owls, and one just flies, right by me and then goes to a tree, and then the owl's going hoot and the other one's going hoot. And it's just which I've never seen. I mean, I've never seen an owl in the you know 5 years we've been in this house,
Right.
so let
It's like
alone the communication with them, not one but two, and how they communicate back and forth. And I'm here in the yard, and the sun is, it's still dark outside, but you can kind of see the moon, and it was just like
wow.
really bizarre.
Yeah.
And
And I think it's
so
funny how like
again,
the signs have to like hit us because you and I are like we don't see the subtle signs. We have to be smacked with them. You have to be hit with a dead bird. Like
yeah, I
had to be
well,
hit,
yeah, I
the
was
owl had to
literally,
swoop down, hit my shirt in order
yeah,
to look at it. And so I think that's funny how it has to be like that with us. And it's like, well, your subtlety
well.
doesn't work with you too. So we're gonna smack it in the face.
Sometimes you got to hit me over the head a few times,
Well, me too, apparently. I mean, I had to be told by
Sometimes I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed,
well, Max had to
but
tell me
I
I
get
was
it. I
psychic.
figure it out. I figured it out.
I know,
Um,
but I'm the same. Max had to tell me I was psychic, and then Crystal, a medium, had to tell me I was a medium. I was like, "What? How do I not know this about myself? Like, that doesn't
yeah, I'm
make any
still
sense."
wrapping my arms around that one.
Right? I know. Well, and then we get like, let's talk about the other day when you came up and you were like, "Oh, sorry, are you meditating?" And I was like, "No, I'm talking to Bob."
Yeah, that kind of freaked me out. Um, Yeah, that
That's
freaked me
just
out a
recently
lot.
started. So what did you
Just
feel so that's only has started, like, maybe 2 weeks ago. I came home and told you I talked to Jennie for the first time and understood her. What did you think of
yeah. Well, and you said that because you'd always mentioned quite a bit about having these, like moments and things with her. So when you started talking more definitively about it, like, oh, well, she's talking to me, I'm conversing with her, I be honest, I took it like I do with a lot of your, subliminal interactions with her.
right?
So, it was, to be honest, I just kind of assumed it was kind of connected with a lot of your other interactions.
True.
So, you
Because I have
know,
told you a couple of times. I remember when I worked at the Journal Star, I was driving to the office and we worked together, but we didn't drive together
mm,
because we were in sales. And I heard a song and then got full body chills. And then Jennie hugged me. I remember telling you, I was like, "Oh my God, Jennie hugged me on the way to work." I was like sobbing. So I don't know if you remember that or not, but there have been little moments that have happened where she has been there, and so I don't
oh,
know.
I remember quite a few moments.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I guess I just I don't know what I guess I just, shoved, I don't know why I didn't think she was always with me if I had so many moments. But
hmm
now I know. I didn't know before though, is what I'm saying. So anyway,
yeah.
so that just happened. But then not too long ago, your friend came through.
Oh shit, yeah.
So let's Todd.
Um,
So let's
yeah.
talk about Todd. I've never met Todd. I only had heard about Todd from you. I didn't hear any of the good times. It was usually about
Never any of the specifics about his mannerisms
right.
or kind of how he is. So when you kind of mentioned that, I was kind of sitting there, chilling out, and all of a sudden it's like, you're saying you're talking to Todd. I'm like, Todd, Odie, huh? Yeah, and the way
I started going like I literally
and
started
even in how he was greeting, he said, what he's talking about, well, motherfucker, like it'd be
looking.
like, wow, that's yeah, that's what how he kind of,
I
that's
mean,
how
I
he
said it like
leads
8 times
off.
in a row. I was like, "What's up, motherfucker? What's up, motherfucker?
I
What's up,
know.
motherfucker?" And I was like, "Does he do that? Like, does he say what's up, motherfucker all the time?" Because
Yeah.
you're telling me right now, and you're like, "Yeah,
Well, and you and just in the way you were interacting with him, I thought it sounded like you were talking to him on the phone.
right." I
And
know.
I was like,
Wild.
almost to where and again, and I had to call my buddy, Chris, and I had to, I put about, I couldn't even like, I was like, you just, you have to listen. I can't, I can't,
Right. I
I
know.
can't even explain it. You just have to, you just have to listen to it and,
Yeah.
just, boom, because there's no way that I could, convey that to somebody else.
No,
And yeah, and
like
he
I
was in
said
the
to you,
Philippines, and yeah, I called him right up, and just put him on speaker and said, "Here, just listen." So,
yeah.
it was just weird the engagement that you guys were having. It was
And
like
I
you
was
couldn't
like
script this.
I
You
was like, "Oh
couldn't
my god,
script it.
he's a flirt." I was like, "He is such a
Oh
flirt."
yeah, he's a
I was like,
huge
"Listen," I was like,
flirt.
"He's like flirting with me, making me feel so good about myself." He was like,
Yeah.
"Team Stacy." He was like,
Oh man, that's all that dude is all about. I
yeah,
mean, and you couldn't get him to shut up. I
very
mean, he was
charming,
just
but very
like,
ornery.
oh man, and anybody that knows him knows that. Oh, when he gets going, man, you just can't. You get him wound up. You can't even. You got to find the mute switch, man, and
Oh,
good luck with
absolutely. That was
that.
the same with that too, because remember you were like, "All
I
right,
know.
we're done for the night." So I said, "All right, Todd, we're done for the." Then we started talking about him, and then Todd goes, "I thought we were done for the night." He came back. He was like, "You can't be talking about me and expect me not to join in. That's not fair." Like he was like saying all
Yeah,
this.
he'll keep on going, man. He'll just
Ah,
keep on
he
doing,
kept on.
doing.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I have to say, and then I started asking some questions, and I know I'm going to get in all of that, but it was something that um, I just couldn't believe. And I'm going to share something with you that I did not share with you before.
What?
But I think it was the following day when I was out on a run. I don't, all of a sudden, that whole episode, that moment kind of popped in my head. And yeah, I had to stop. And I had to, I had tears just running down my face. I mean, I was just like in my body. I mean, it was just chills. It was almost like
Like you
he
felt
was kind
him?
of like he was like out there, but I couldn't hear him or
Right.
communicate with them on the level that you were. But it was
Right.
just like hey, what do you think about that, motherfucker?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just
Yeah.
like yeah. got you thinking now, didn't I? Uh-huh. And I was just
Oh,
thinking, you cocksucker, man. I'm like, are you serious? But yeah, I had a very kind of a
yeah,
emotional moment the following day. I was just, and I don't know, it was just,
yeah.
I was, trotting along and the
You,
song came on, and next thing you know, yeah, I never even told you about that,
no,
but
but you
yeah, I
felt
had,
it
it was pretty, yeah,
intense,
it was pretty overwhelming. But, January is a very overwhelming time for me anyway. I mean, it's a black period,
right?
especially with Michaela and 11 days in January. And just so it was just kind of a culmination of things. But yeah, I never did tell you that. But there was just some just washed over me after that.
Right,
So,
right,
but yeah.
right. Yeah, and for those of the people that don't know about Michaela, can you just explain? She was born and passed in January, right?
Um,
Yeah. I mean, that's it. You don't have to get into it, but I just wanted so people understand that she was born.
she was born with a during Michelle, first wife's pregnancy. It was discovered in the first trimester that she had a diaphragmatic hernia. It was on the left side instead of the right, so more of the vital organs were impacted.
Mhm,
Um, they basically, told us that, in all transparency, all the different options. Well, when she was born, they immediately had to put her on, like, life-saving devices, ECMO machines, and that. She never left the ICU.
mhm,
She was there for 11 days and passed away. Died in my arms, really. I mean, I literally, I could feel the body going from,
mhm,
from warm to just, cold. And
mm. Yes.
yeah,
It's
there's a
heartbreaking.
picture right there. And that
Yes.
was that
Sure.
moment where a piece of me left. And, it, like anybody else who loses, a child, nobody should have to bury their kid.
No.
And I do not and have not ever spoken about this in any forum whatsoever. Um, but it's just, and like a lot of people have these issues, and I do feel for parents, but and I'm sure that a lot of them have probably have had more of a spiritual or type of connection, especially if they had a relationship with, their kids, over time. I never really got a chance to know her.
Mhm.
Um, but I do know as a parent, it's
The
it
worst
doesn't
thing
matter.
ever.
It's just
Yeah. Worst thing ever. Worst thing you can go
it's
through.
it's difficult.
Mm,
Um,
it is.
but like you just got to manage it. You have to navigate it and just and be able to move forward with your life. And just
That's what it's never, it doesn't get easier. You just learn to live with it better.
yeah, exactly. It
But
never
it's
goes
always
away.
painful. The pain is always
Exactly.
right below the surface. Like one thing,
Yeah.
I could cry right now, just hearing your story. But and then I think of mine, and then it's like, oh, it's like heart wrenching and very hard and difficult. And
And what you had
so,
to go through with Jennie,
yeah,
just that whole situation.
yeah, she died in my arms. Not my
I just
child, but best friend.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So the trauma of that too, on top of everything, having her die in your arms and Jenny die,
yeah.
then we have that trauma, and we went through that the same year. And so when you have trauma like that, you feel somebody else's trauma. It's like our
Yeah.
nervous systems do. Each other had trauma, and we just like clung onto each other, and that's
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's
that's the trauma bonding.
yeah,
And I do believe that. I
yeah,
do believe that people can bond
mhm,
and even thrive, um, you
absolutely.
know, and learn from it. So,
That's why you and I are still so close because we made a promise to each other that no
yeah.
matter what changed in our relationship, we're not gonna. If a divorce can feel like a death, and we don't want that because we've lost people that we love so much, and we're not going to do that, and so that's why we're able to do what
Well,
we do.
I don't view it as a death at all. I view it
But
as
it can feel like that
it can for a
for
lot of
people that
people,
never
and
speak again.
they
I'm saying for people that
yeah,
don't.
absolutely, yeah.
Any relationship, like they break up, you never speak again. It's like they're dead to you,
Oh,
basically.
trust me. I,
I
I
mean,
deal with people
yeah,
and their stories and what they're telling me,
yeah,
and and I'm like, wow, man, I'm glad I'm not having to go through that
I
shit.
know, right? So
I
you're
mean, we are still blessed that we have a union and a friendship,
mhm,
and You
Yeah.
know, we just, I, it's really how we started out, so it's just kind of come full circle. And,
Exactly.
I have been, it just, to be able to be so amicable about it and just be able to, almost kind of, you know, sort of laugh about it a little bit, I mean, trials and tribulations and everything.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm very thankful that we have our friendship,
Me too.
um, and a bond. And, for a lot of people, there's certain components of that just, never go away.
Right.
Um, so
Absolutely.
um, I would hope that maybe other people, in the future would respect that, honor that,
Yeah.
not be too weirded out by it. And,
Right.
if they can't, then, screw them, I guess. I mean,
Right. Oh, yeah. As far
I
as
guess we'll just
dating,
be,
I know we'll see how it goes.
yeah, we'll
We're best
be
friends.
spending our golden years, immersed and soaking our feet in warm water in front of a fireplace, like, I
Maybe.
don't know. I don't know, but yeah,
We don't
you're
know what
always
the
an
future
interesting
holds.
chick, man, and I can't. You can never have interesting people, that still stimulate you creatively. Just leave your life,
Right.
So
That's right. Well, we're fortunate to have each other, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate you've loved me through all of this wild, wild awakening things that have been happening, and you've been non-judgmental and you've been very supportive, and so I appreciate you because yeah, you've been my rock, man.
you know, we all evolve ourselves, and part of a evolving process and learning is being able to assess ourselves and stop and think. And I've been touching on certain things like Buddhism, for example. I've been starting to really immerse myself a little bit more in those teachings and philosophy, and practicing nirvana,
Mhm,
perfect peace. um, and I really think that that has started to become pretty eye-opening in terms of how I view other people, how other people view me, and
mhm,
how to think before you speak,
mhm.
um, and try to be more cognizant of the situation around you. You remember what they always used to tell us, even when we were selling yellow pages back in the day? Never argue with a customer; you just might win.
Right. Yes.
There's no sense in trying to prove your point,
Right.
because in a lot of times, the end result is, hey, you may have won the battle, but you're going to wind up losing the war. So I really have started to, again, going back to the glass half full versus glass half empty, or looking at it through a different lens. And I tell my clients this too all the time also. So I have to practice kind of what I preach. So I will, in all transparency, a few years ago, would I have embraced this a lot more? Probably not. Would I
Right.
thought that you were more of a quasi whack job? Maybe. But I have seen things in my own self development that I have not been, so now I'm not so quick to judge,
Right.
and to really stop and, look at it from the other individual's point of view.
Mhm.
Um, and it
I
doesn't matter
noticed that about
if
you.
you're a skeptic or whatever. It's just something to embrace
Mhm,
and be able to, at least process it.
mhm,
Um, you can't influence everybody's decision or opinion, but I will say that it has helped me better to identify what you are going through and your radical transformation,
mhm.
especially over the last year.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I appreciate you, and I've seen, a lot of changes in you too, and it's probably helped that my nervous system has been regulated finally, so it probably helps you feel better now that my nervous system
no.
is regulated because it was never regulated before, so I
And
just
I'll use a little regulating. I could definitely use some regulating. We
right.
always can use some regulating. Like I said, we're continuously growing as individuals, and it doesn't matter how old you are.
Yep,
We can always be receptive to change if we want to. If we
if we
want to,
that's right.
you have to want that as well.
Exactly.
You can't have that forced upon you, I
No,
don't think.
no.
Um, so you accept it, or you don't. I
Mm,
mean, so there's no shade of gray as far as I'm concerned with that.
right.
So
Well, I love
Yeah.
that outlook. I love that outlook, and it's something that you and I both live by. We're always trying to better ourselves and learn from others and
Hmm.
meet people where they're at, judgment free though. Do it judgment free.
Yep.
So, well,
Absolutely.
thank you
Hmm.
so much for being here with me. I appreciate you, and I love you. You're awesome.
Well, I love you too. So that's it?
Yeah, right?
All right.
Unless
Well,
you have anything else
I
you
do
want have
appreciate
anything
you
else?
having me on, and I wish you nothing but success with the show, and with everything else you're doing moving forward. And
Thank you.
I'm always there for you,
Yes, I do know.
and
I'm thankful for it.
appreciate you.
Aw, thanks, babe. Bye.
Mwah. All righty.